The school system, I believe, is responsible in many ways, and I say this, for drowning lions. In my situation, I was riding a horse, and if I would have ridden that horse out into the ocean, and if I would have forced her, and if we could have done it, we could have went out way out into the deep. And after a while, she would have drowned. It's not her environment. But I say drowning lions because I think about it like this. If you take a lion that many would say is the king of the jungle, and you take that lion and you put that lion out in the middle of the ocean, the lion, the king of the jungle, in all of its genius and brilliance and majesty, you know what it becomes? Fish food. If you put a lion that is the king of the jungle in the middle of the ocean, that is not its environment where it thrives, it becomes fish food. It becomes consumed by fish. Now, conversely, if you take a great white shark and you take it out of the deep and you bring it up into the shallow end and you put it up on the shore, do you know what it becomes? Bird food. It can be pecked at by the smallest of birds. This great, majestical creature and animal can become bird food. If you take your child and you put your child out into an environment that is not meant for them, they can be pecked, they can be nibbled on, they can be destroyed and consumed by an environment that they were never meant to be in. So what do? We go back to our journey of discovery. We have a dream. In this dream, in this process, we're going through it and we start to find clues. And we look for something because we believe we're moving forward, believing that there's a treasure. And so since we're moving forward, believing that there's a treasure, once we find a clue, once we find that place where our children come to life, that's a place we need to take some notes and say, you know what? I noticed when they did this, they were focused. No one had to tell them to do that. No one had to make sure they got it done. They were so focused in that area. So there's a dream and then they start doing something. And once we find that thing that they do, maybe they talk a lot, right? Maybe it's the thing that you might even find annoying as a parent. Like, oh my goodness, my child is always taking things apart. Oh, wait, it's a clue. Oh my goodness, my child is so nosy. They have all the information, but wait, that's a clue. My daughter, she's a very inquisitive child. She's now 16, very inquisitive. She gets all the facts. She gets all the details. She knows what's going on in everybody's story. And she's always been this way. I actually, as a nickname, I called her Scoop. Because I'm like, she's always going to have the scoop. If you want to know, just ask her. She's going to know what's going on. And so with that now, as she's getting older, she said, Dad, I want to be a special agent, Secret Service, special ops. Makes sense. Like, she's a person, she's going to have all the details. Those are clues. My son, he likes to put things together and he likes to build things and he wants to be an engineer. My oldest daughter, she from the time she got me started in this whole farm world, because she asked for a horse, she wanted to be a vet. And I was talking to her just the other night and I was telling her, I said, we're people of faith. We believe in God. And I said, you know, God, as God would have it, I said, there are clues in your life. You wanted a horse. And I didn't know anything about it, but I said, yes, you were 5 years old. You asked for a horse. And I said, I'll get you a horse when you turn 7. She waited patiently. She asked for that horse. She wanted to do it. I bought it. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing at all about this horse, but I knew that I could say yes to her dream. My parents bought me baseball gloves. I said, I'll do this. And I had to now go on this journey with her and start figuring this stuff out. This same child, she would say like, oh, I love animals so much. I want to get dogs and I want to have cats. So one Thanksgiving, we're sitting there and and we're sitting in our windowsill had like a little stoop looking out into the backyard. And she says, Daddy, there are two dogs in the backyard, two puppies in the backyard. And I'm like, okay. She's like, no, really. And so I go look. Sure enough, there are two puppies in the backyard. And I gather these puppies up and we go look to see if the owners wanted them and where they came from. And we end up tracking it all down. The people said, listen, we don't want those dogs. The mom had a litter. You all can have them. And I say this to say there are clues. Sometimes there are things that help us to see the direction that we can help guide this child into. I want to show you something. Back here, I have a quiver of arrows. Recently have started archery. But I want to tell you this about your child. Your child is very much like an arrow in your hand. And you are a great warrior. You're a champion for your child. And so, like an arrow in the hand of a champion, this arrow by itself, if I'm holding it, I'm like, this is fantastic. This is my child. But if I do this, it didn't go very far. No, there's some requirements that's placed on us as parents, and we get this thing called a bow. And so we have this potential to draw them back and launch them into a particular area. We don't just throw an arrow. We get to draw them back. Sometimes in this discovery process, there's some pullback. See, sometimes the school system and life is going to tell you, this is what you need to do. And this is how you should do it. No. You got to say, no. I need to pull back. I got to pull back from that. There's going to be some resistance. When you pull back against that, that's going to require something of you, because it's going to take your strength to say, no, this is my child. I believe that there is a treasure in this child's earthly vessel, in their body. I believe. And so you got to pull back, and it's going to require some strength. And then as you get it back, you're going to find a place and you say, my child has their own unique genius, their own unique brilliance, and I'm drawing them back so that I can launch them forward into that place. Because when my child shows up in that place where they were gifted and called and designed to be, guess what's going to happen? Much like the watermelon seeds, they are going to open up and they're going to produce fruit. So your child is producing fruit somewhere. Maybe it's in the area of technology. Maybe it's in humanities. Maybe it's with animals. Maybe it's with just the way that they think. Many of us, if we look back when we were young, Google didn't exist. Facebook didn't exist. Perhaps your child is gifted for this moment for something that doesn't even exist. You don't have to minimize them. You don't have to believe when people tell you like, oh, you know what? Just give them more medications. No, hold on. Just because they're differently genius doesn't mean that I need to medicate them until their mind becomes numb to their possibilities. No. Perhaps there's nothing wrong with my child. Perhaps this environment will never cause them to grow. And perhaps sometimes the environment is the way that we look at our child and what we think about our children. Perhaps if we can change our thought process, we can begin to give them some new rich soil. Perhaps if we talk about them and we say to them as little seeds, you know what? I don't fully understand. I'm your parent, but I don't fully understand everything that there is to help you. But I believe there's something in you. And so what I'm going to do as a parent, I'm going to do my best, but then I might need to bring in a coach. I might need to bring in some help. I might need to bring in somebody with a different perspective, with some more insight. And here's the beauty of it. Your insight as a parent is not diminished by getting help. It's enhanced. Because you get to see the child at home in that environment. Someone else is going to see the child in a different environment. Someone else might see the child in a different environment. And so all of these perspectives, this is where we come up with the idea that it takes a village to raise a child. Perspective matters. And so you have this dream and you begin doing it. The best thing to do after that seed begins to open up, inside of any seed is the seed of that seed. You begin duplicating it. See, this is not one seed. This is a watermelon patch. Inside this one watermelon seed, there's one watermelon. But inside that one, or actually more than one more watermelon is probably inside of this seed. But inside of those watermelons are exponentially more seeds. Inside of those seeds are more watermelons with exponent, all from this one seed. So if we can cultivate this one seed, if you can cultivate the one idea in your child, if you can cultivate the one area of interest, if you can cultivate that one thing that they get in the classroom and in the lessons, if you can tap into that, do you know what's going to happen with their confidence? It starts to grow and it starts to open up. And then they start to believing, because faith comes by hearing. And when they tell themselves, I can do this, now they have spoken from their mouth to their ears, something for them to have faith for. And that, if they can keep saying, I can do this, it will now produce faith that will now grow into life, and life more abundantly. So you have a dream and you begin doing it. You begin the journey, and then you begin duplicating. And then finally you get to that place where you say, I want to dominate this. I want to master this. I want to learn this. I want to know about my child. I want to tap into how my parenting can impact them and who I need. And you become a specialist in finding the gifts and talents and the treasure. I had this a few years ago. I had the opportunity to be in the ruins of Pompeii. And they're still there after all the destruction happened. They're still there, and they're finding and discovering treasure. Sometimes they're using big shovels. Sometimes they're using light little feathers. The tools we use to help discover the treasure within your child, it matters. But you know when that happens, you know when we become really fine and detailed, that's in that part when we're dominating, when we become the expert, when we're really knowing what's going on, that's when we do that. But at first, you want to start the journey. Start the journey of discovering, and you're on it now. Being here puts you in an environment that says, listen, I'm really serious about this. You're starting the journey now, but you don't have to do it alone. And so being in this environment, being in this group, this is a good soil environment where not only your child is going to be able to thrive, but so will you. That's what the seed needs. The seed needs the right environment. The seed is full of potential, but potential without the right environment only remains potential. We are on this earth, your child, you, me, Karen, all of us, we're on this world to exhaust our potential. This seed next year does not want to remain a seed. Your child does not want to remain potential. Your child wants to achieve. And so now is the moment to begin the journey to discover the treasure that's within your child's earthen vessel. I pray that you go on the journey, you allow others to be connected with you so that you can tap into that environment and actually be able to see the fruit that is within. So thank you, Karen, so much. Hopefully I've been an encouragement to you and everyone that's here to go on the journey, to begin to meaning not, cover, meaning conceal the treasure that's within each and every child, because the genius is within them. Believe it. Believe that they have a treasure of genius, and then have fun on the adventure of discovering it.